Everything old is new again at the Oberon in Cambridge. Since last fall, something called AcousticaElectronica has been selling out. It's a monthly performance that essentially takes Beethoven clubbing. Here's a taste from a recent rehearsal where you'll hear the composer's Moonlight Sonata like you've never heard before. All right, so Jared, what's this all about and does it work, more importantly?
It does work. Well, I think a long time ago you and I partied at the Donkey Show late one night at Club Oberon. And this is very similar in that it's a very immersive theater experience. It happens all around you, and they have aerialists and acrobatics. So not only is it taking classical music and infusing it with this electronica and dance music, but it's also doing a lot of what theater has become and is expected, especially in this city, which is all of these different elements of performance.
So do they choose pieces that would be recognizable to a young person, even though they're not into classical music?
Well, this is really a lot of the brainchild of Colin Thurman, who's their music director, and he's got classically trained roots, plays classical music, so these are pieces that he really identifies with. And I actually asked him about that. I mean, how this does work, and here's what he had to say coming off a piece that you see in AcousticaElectronica.
Somewhere along the line, we lost touch with the feeling of, I can cheer, I can do this, this is a fun sort of sensation, and it becomes something that's very formalized and very stifling for a lot of audience members. And that's why I think a lot of young people have trouble getting into classical music and getting into sort of a little bit more intense sort of classical art forms. And I think this is a really great platform and a really great first step for a lot of people.
Basically, he's saying that it's not fun enough, which is, the symphony suffers with this. They can't attract young people, and maybe it's the environment is part of the issue.
Well, I was really struck by this myself. Actually a few years ago now, the New Yorker magazine had a great piece about how classical music used to be. You would have these rousing audiences would get up and cheer and explode, and that's completely lost. And I think to some degree we've lost audiences for that reason because they don't feel an engagement and they're too intimidated.
But a lot of it is also because there's this new music that symphony has introduced. I guarantee you they're not using the new music over there at Oberon. They're using the classical music.
They are using the classical music, and I also talked to the choreographer Elizabeth McGuire, who has said that once people get in there and sort of understand what they're seeing, there is actually a connection. Here's what she had to say about that.
While I'm doing a very postmodern dance improv solo, I've seen like a dude in his 20s with a backwards baseball cap, like fist pumping, but he's with me. This man may never have chosen to go see a modern dance performance at the Wang or whatever, but he's catching it here and he's appreciating it.
All right, well, that's all the time we have, Jared, but I can see why people are getting into this. All right, thanks for being here.